Dom. Hello, everybody. Adam Steele here. Welcome to the Hot Pole Podcast, number 121, with my co-host Liam Wright. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Bzz.
You're very, very, very busy as per usual.
Bzz. Yep. With a busy mic. Busy.
Busy. Hopefully, that won't come through on the recording because of wonderful NVIDIA RTX noise. Bye. I can words.
Yeah. Maybe you can make a video out of helping me debug this problem.
Maybe, yeah.
I've got a buzzing on my mic.
And it is not, as a Mancunian would say, a good thing with buzzing. But yes, hope everybody's doing well. It feels like it's been about 2.5 days since we did the podcast last because time is a construct that is just collapsing together.
It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Certainly feels like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I had a small personal achievement today. I went to the gym and lifted the heaviest weight I think I've ever lifted in my life.
Ooh.
And now
cool.
I need to keep breaking through those barriers. I managed to lift 44 kilos in just completely free weights, no bar, no nothing, which doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people. But
as what? A squat, a bench, or what?
Bench.
Cool.
And not with a bar, just free weight bench.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's that 20s as far as I ever used to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, generally, because I do it in a superset. I do that and flies and press ups as one superset. So I know I could lift a lot more, but by the time you've done like 90 of these things, you're kind of dead. So you target what you can actually complete the whole set of supersets with. So yeah, I don't actually know what my 100% max is, but that's kind of today. I've completed the set with the heaviest weight I've done that set with.
Is that including the bar?
No bar. That's what I mean. No bar. Free weights.
Barbells. Right. Okay. 2 dumbbells.
Yeah, 2 dumbbells.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 44 kilos as dumbbells.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit different as well because you actually got to get them up there.
Exactly, and I've got to balance them, and each arm's got to do its own wibbly wobbly thing, and
yeah. So 222s balancing them. Yeah, but they're heavy weights.
That's the fun part. Yeah, is the kind of the wibble wobble spaghetti arm balance. So yeah. Hello everybody. This is a music tech podcast where we talk about things that are not weights generally, but that just happens to have been the highlight of my day. This week I've been mostly busy with editing videos, which one went out to the patrons on Patreon. Another one is almost ready to go to the patrons. And I've got another 3 that I filmed because I'm trying desperately to get back to where I was. One's for the... Sennheiser sent me a couple of microphone capsules for my wireless system, so I went out and played a show on Sunday. I played a wedding with a Neumann microphone for the first time, and that was wonderful. Complete
That's
excess.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Absolute excess. It's wonderful.
Did anyone notice any difference in the drunken crowd?
Not even close.
That's amazing.
Funnily enough, it didn't really suit my voice anyway. I think because Sennheiser sent me 2 capsules. They sent me that one and their new MD435 capsule, which doesn't kind of have the same name prestige as Neumann, but it's their brand new kind of flagship, and that one suited me a bit better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see, because for the studio stuff, because I recorded myself singing and playing acoustic guitar with those and the 835, which is like the cheap capsule, and an SE Electronics V7 capsule, which I got as well. So, I tried all 4 back-to-back, and I'll be putting that out rather soon. I was in the middle of going through the Reaper project of me making horrible voice noises when I looked at the clock and went, podcast time. So that's been my day. Yes. Oh, Scott's in chat. Yes, fancy microphone you got there. He means the MV7, because Scott just got an MV7 as well, because they're cool. Very cool. I also did a demo video on the Victory Super Kraken, the VX100, which sounded pretty good, which is... This one here, this is where lifting the weights has helped, because this thing weighs a flipping ton. There we go. The Super Kraken, which is currently on loan from John Brown. He's got half of my amps on loan, so we just did a bit of a swap. So yeah, did a video on that. All of that needs editing together as well, so that's keeping me out of trouble. And I've got something that I'm doing for Glenn, which I need to get done tomorrow, and oh boy, so many things.
All the things.
All the things. So let's talk about the news.
Oh, the news.
The news. The Darkness are in the news again. It's 2003 all over again. Hey, remember last week's Winamp article? Now we've got the Darkness article. So, yes, Justin Hawkins and the Darkness are currently on tour. And if you look very closely at the amps that are to the side of Mr. Justin Hawkins right here, they are not a model that anybody else has. They're in the Ironheart series, but these are apparently the JH for Justin Hawkins 3000 model of Laney Amp, which is a whole new custom thing they've made just for him. Right now, they're not even on sale to the general public, but there you go. Apparently, Justin Hawkins' guitar sound is and always has been, no matter what brand he uses, guitar straight to amp, no pedals, just go. So it'll be really interesting to see how that sounds. Apparently, if you catch them on tour, you can hear it right now, but in amongst the big wall of live sound, it could be anything. Let's be honest. Oh, Scott's putting weird letters in the chat now. I have no idea what that means. But yes, it's an Ironheart. There's another picture there. They look very pretty, and he's got a very stupid hat on, because of course he does. And yeah, not seeing any cabs. There must be a cab to the side somewhere. If not, then he must be using a load box. But it is an Ironheart, and actually those Ironhearts can go straight out to front of house. A friend of mine's used an Ironheart live on stage without a cab before. They can do that range. So actually thinking about it, he's probably just, going straight front of house. Here you are, Mr. Soundman. There's an XLR. Shut up and take it. But yeah, currently there are no plans for a production model. So why? But then I suppose that could be to do with parts, and there's a good photo on the Instagram of the JH3000. Yeah, it's a 120 watt amp. Oh, apparently that Scott put in chat means the news in Russian.
All right, sweet.
But yeah, that's our headline news is Justin Hawkins has an amp, and it is an amp. And it looks suspiciously like an Ironheart 120. So there you go. One for the pedal people after that. A lot of guitar pedal people will have heard of the pedal called the Timmy. Timmy, yes, that pedal. Because a guy called Paul Cochran makes the Timmy in very, very small, rare numbers. So they are very expensive if you can actually find one. Because it's that kind of pedal where... yeah, rarity plus rumours and all that kind of stuff have abounded. So now the Tim is the version 3 pedal, which should be coming early next year, apparently. It's a dual button version, and it's got a couple of clever switches, high cut switch, so that if your amp makes it sound too bright, you can take the edge off. There's a switch that says clip, which... I think that just plays a clip. I don't know. I'm guessing it's the clipping mode or something like that. Then there's all your different settings, and it's got an effects loop inside the amp, so as you inside the pedal even, so as you turn it on, it goes there. Now, Paul Cochran's Timmy has been a big underground kind of favourite for a lot of people. Same people who would use a Klon or an Analog Man King of Tone, that kind of thing. Apparently it's been changed, so you only need to give it 9 volts and it will sound like an 18 volt pedal, which is good, I guess. And yeah, there you go. Now, things and stuff. If you can hear Ivy screaming in the background, by the way, she's refusing to sleep because she's 3 and it's bedtime. So yes, if you hear that in the background, fear not, she's just being a toddler. So, yeah, there you go. The Paul Cochran Tim version 3. Not Timmy, just Tim. Just call me Tim. So, there we go. Moving on. SSL's Big Six. this really annoys me, this desk. So it might turn into a little bit of a rant. This is the SSL Big Six 12-channel analog dream desk for hybrid studios. 12-channel desk. How many mic inputs does it have? 4. So it's not really a 12-channel desk, is it?
You remember was a 16-channel Edirol that we had that was really just 2 channels?
Yeah, because it was all line inputs. Yeah.
It was 2 out, wasn't it? That was it. It's like, you can get a lot in, but you can't do anything out with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, most of them were line inputs and like weird RCA adapters and stuff.
Yeah. But that's the desks like this have really annoyed me for years, not just from SSL, but from everybody. It's got 4 mono channels and 4 stereo channels. So the 4 stereo channels are line inputs, which means that you need... It's actually not even 12 channels, it's 8 channels. 4 of which are left and right, so you can't even kind of pan the left bit to the middle or anything like that. Which is why it only has 8 main faders there. And from there are only 4 actual inputs, and the rest are just... You're going to need stereo sets going in there. Which, if it was a utility mixer that was quite affordable, I would understand that kind of limited functionality. Because I used to have, when I started live streaming, an analog mixer to the side of me that had a couple of mic inputs and then line inputs for things like the games and the streams and all that kind of stuff. And that worked for that. But I paid, I think, £150. The price for this, drum roll, please, €3,000.
What?
Yeah, 4 mic inputs, and they want €3,000 for this thing.
Because it's SSL.
Yeah, because it's SSL, and they're now a Chinese-owned company as well. They're not even like what they used to be. Apparently, it does have the GSeries Bus Compressor in there, which is nice, but it's not even got like a full VU meter. It's the little LEDs. Hopefully it is actually a proper GSeries Bus Compressor, but I suspect that it'll be like something that sounds like it, but with more modern components, which makes them less expensive. It looks like, is that a gate? Oh, so there are compressors on these 4 channels. It looks like these 4 channels are quite decent, actually. And this is the thing, is that if it was just these 4 channels as 4 preamps with compressors that all had 4 separate outputs, and they charged €2,000 instead of 3,000 for this extra bit that most people are probably not going to use, that would be a very good value proposition, because their preamps are great, their compressors are good, they're nice solid VCA compressors, their EQs are good. There's nothing wrong with a lot of the individual components of this. My issue is the form factor. Who the heck actually wants this? Because, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, so it's got a talkback mic, which means that this is intended to have like headphone outputs to go to people. But surely your interface already had some outputs that could go to a headphone amp.
Is it for like small venues?
Maybe, but if your venue's that small that you only need 4 microphone inputs, then you're not spending €3,000 on this.
Really nice, trendy hipster bar that has a lot of acoustic nights.
No, in my experience, the really nice, trendy hipster bars make you bring your own PA system. You think I'm joking, mate?
No, I'm just laughing.
I've played in some of Manchester's most swanky venues, and when it comes to sound, they couldn't give a damn. They genuinely don't care. They kind of leave that all to the musicians because they assume that's our side of things and that we must know what we're doing and we must have all that kind of equipment. And maybe, if we're lucky, they'll provide a power amp and speakers. Sometimes they provide a basic mixing desk, but it's usually either Behringer or, like, if I'm lucky, an Allen and Heath, something like that. Something nice but mid-tier. Never seen anything like this in any venue anywhere. In fact, hell, the last time I saw a nice mixing desk full stop in a venue was an old Midas 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm talking analog Midas, pre-Behringer Midas. And yeah, it's just... who's going to buy this is my question. And the people who do buy it, who's going to actually get anywhere near the actual functionality out of this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Who's buying it because it says SSL on it and it looks like a desk? Yeah. I mean, hey, if that's what you want it for and you're honest about that, hey, good luck to you.
So what are all the outputs on the back?
Let's have a look. So the first 8 ones on the right here are the insert points for the 4 microphone inputs. So you've got insert points, so you can add compressors and things. Then these 8 are the stereo inputs for channels, the next lot of channels. There's a sum to main, which means if you've got another mixer, you can jam that in here and it'll add it to the left and right outputs. Stereo Q mixes, which are like headphone mixes. Main monitor and alternate monitor. Some sort of bus output. Main inserts and main outputs. That's it. So it looks like loads, but it's kind of not. It's like we've got an old Behringer Eurodesk that if you look at the back of it, it looks like Swiss cheese because it's full of holes, because that's kind of the point of a big format mixing desk is you need all the different options. But yeah, I mean, each component of this, like I said, just to round the article off, each component of this I'm sure will be great, but who's it for? So there you go. It doesn't even have, like, if it had channels 5 through to 12 as mono with pan pots, so you could then feed separate, like, nice vintage preamps into those channels, then I get it. Then that makes sense to me. But this, because I'm not even seeing, like, discrete separate outputs for those 4 channels, unless you can use the send and returns on the back without that defeating anything. So if you just use the sends and use them as direct outputs, that could work. But then, yeah. Oh, there you go. So yeah, that's it. It seems like every time we have an article, it involves. Oh, it's got USB-C as well for something. Every time I've got an article that involves SSL recently, I seem to be negative about it, but it's not because of the parts. It's not because of the sound of SSL or even the people. It's because they seem to be making things that don't answer questions. That answer questions that were never asked.
Yeah.
So there you go. And then I'm wondering if they'll not sell many of them. Then they'll look at the really low sales figures, and then they'll wonder why, and then maybe they'll make another mistake. I don't know. Hopefully they'll do well and find answers and get it right. But until they do, there we go. So I'm just going to move quickly onto this article, because this is a very similar soapbox rant. This is the Zoom R20, a 16-track portable multi-track recorder with touchscreen. Firstly, who needs touchscreen on something this small? Secondly, it's a 16-track portable multi-track recorder. You know how many inputs it's got?
No.
Not 16. The answer is 8. Which in my mind means it's an 8-track recorder. It's not a 16-track recorder if you can't record 16 tracks at once.
Yeah.
It's 2021, everybody. I mean, you could get away with calling this a 16-track recorder in 1994. Because at that point, you'd be recording onto a tape, and if you could only record 8 and then record another 8, that would probably be fine for most small project studios. But the reason I would want more than, say, 4 inputs on any interface at any time is for either recording a full band or recording a large drum kit. And if I'm doing that, I need more than 8 inputs. I've said this on the podcast before, where the interfaces for me go 2, 4 lots. And there's very little genuine need, I think, for the in-between, which is why most 8-channel interfaces usually have some sort of optical ADAT input or some equivalent, so you can then expand them out for when you find that you need that kind of thing. And that a lot of the 2 or 4 channel interfaces don't have that because that's not the market they're aimed at, which is fine. There are large numbers of exceptions, of course, but as a general rule. So yeah, I mean, again, I have no gripe with this as a device. If it's got really good clean preamps and it's an 8-channel recorder, great. Don't call it a 16-channel. I mean, that's the back. It's got output left and right and a headphone output. It's not got another 8 inputs. You can use it as a USB-C interface for your computer, which is good, or you can record onto an SDXC card. And apparently it's got 3-band EQs, compressors, limiters, noise gates, reverbs, guitar and bass amp modeling, which from Zoom I would imagine would be okay. But yeah, it's got a touch screen for DAW-style multi-track editing, which I suppose could speed things up a little bit. But again, if you're using this and not using an actual computer's DAW, again, who's it for? Most people that I know that would be using something like this would be using it in the field to capture the sound. They would then take it away, use it on some sort of laptop or desktop computer, and edit with a mouse and keyboard, because that is the way you do things quickly and efficiently. And at that point, you usually end up doing mixing in a DAW with all the functionality anyway. The kind of people this is aimed at, I would guess, are the people who I call the blues lawyers. You know, the kind of the blues dentists. The people who've got loads of money to spend and kind of are into this whole guitar thing, or, you know, they've kind of got a bit of a band together where they play covers every 4 months because they're all busy with their home lives. And one of them goes, "Hey guys, I bought this recorder. We should totally record ourselves." And they go, "Well, how do you use it?" And he's like, "Give me an hour." And then everybody gets frustrated. How do I know? Because I've been there. I've actually played with bands who rehearse in a large shed and have got something like this. And being the tech guy that I am, I then go up to it and kind of get the best out of it that I can, and it's quite frustrating. But those guys didn't get anywhere near in months what I got to in a day, because it's not their job, you know. That is the fact of it. This is my job. But that's the kind of people that I find this is aimed at. And I go, "Well, why did you get this and not just an interface?" And they go, well, I didn't want to hook it up to a PC. That seems scary. It's like, yeah, so it's friendlyizing the whole thing, but it is quite limiting. I mean, it's an okay product, I'm sure. And at €400 rather than the 3,000 of the SSL, that's fairly reasonable.
Yeah, pretty decent price, really.
For an 8-channel portable recorder, that's fairly reasonable. For a 16-channel, it would be a real bargain, but it's not a 16-channel.
No.
So there you go. Now back to pedals for a minute. Wampler have just released the Pantheon Deluxe. That's its name. The Wampler Pantheon Deluxe Dual Overdrive. So it's 2 drives, as are many pedals that you can get these days. But it's got MIDI switching. But it's not a MIDI pedal, it's an actual analog pedal. But you can turn it on and off with MIDI. Which a lot more products are going that way at the moment, I'm finding, which is really cool. Because you can get things like, you can have your pedals trigger other pedals, or you can have your pedals at the back of the stage and just press a button and they all magically turn on and off, but they're not models of things. They're not, pretend digital versions. They're the actual real deal. Like this, the Victory Super Kraken that I've got down here, that's got a MIDI port on it. It's not a MIDI amp, it's not a digital amp, but all the settings, like going from channel 1 to channel 2, or turning on the effects loop, or there's a thing called the Preamp Focus mode, which are all analog things, can be turned on and off remotely, either by foot switch or by MIDI. So if I had a little thing like this down here, actually, this, I've shown this before, this is the Matthews Effects Futurist. This is a MIDI controller. If I had that at the front of the stage and nothing else, then I could click one button and have that program to turn on the Pantheon, change the channel on the amp, turn on the effects loop so the gate comes in, that's an analog gate, etc., etc., etc. And that can all be one button. This is digital. everything at the back is fully analog, so your tone nerds are happy. But that means I could have 2 or 3 or 4 of these. I could have one where my guitar goes. I could have one to the side of the stage. I could have one right at the front next to where the singer goes, so that when I do my big solo moment, I just step up to there and go and still change things, but still only have one actual set of analog gear at the back. That's the beauty of MIDI. That's where you start getting clever. And also, another video I'm going to be doing soon is that I've now got a few of the wireless MIDI systems from CME that they call the WIDI, which is a very silly name, the WIDI. But the idea being that I can have a tiny little dongle strapped to this, and I don't even need a cable running across the stage. I can press buttons and everything changes full analog at the back of the stage. And so I can just drop one of these with a little battery pack wherever I want them, and happy times. So yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to making. But yeah, the Pantheon, I tried a Wampler Pantheon while I was at Gear Street, and it sounded very good, but not this one. I tried the single channel version, I think. So yeah. So the quote from Brian Wampler himself is, "Yo dog, I heard you like the Pantheon, so I put a Pantheon in a Pantheon." And there are now people of a certain age who just will not get that joke, which makes me feel old.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, Pimp My Ride has been off the air for longer than it was on the air now.
Oh wow.
Terrifying. But yeah, like I was saying earlier with the Analog Man King of Tone, actually, and this is not that, but it's not that different in terms of its intentions and its design, except that this is a mass production pedal, so you're not... Because I'm on the ordering list for an Analog Man King of Tone, and I don't know if you've heard of those. It's very, very rare. The company Analog Man make them. If you want one, you put yourself on a list, and currently the waiting list is 4 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and when your name comes up on the waiting list, you then give them your options that you would like. You give them the money, and you wait another 3 months for them to make it. So yeah, that one's a bit back ordered. But yeah, this is not handmade with any super rare chips like the Analog Man one is. This is something you can just go out and get. But yeah, it's got a drive and a different drive, and there's a little switch there, so you can go that drive into that drive or the other way round, depending on how it works for you. And yeah, sounds decent. So 2 of them, I'm sure, will sound double decent. It's got
double decent.
Absolutely. So there you go. Moving on. Native Instruments Complete. I like the Complete package. I use it a lot. Native Instruments have finally gone subscription. So they've got Complete Now, which sounds more like a demand than a product. Complete Now. So up until now, the way you bought Complete was with a big chunk of money. And you didn't have a choice. It's just like the ultimate version is close to $1,000. Whereas this is a selection of those, which apparently you can cancel anytime, which is good. It doesn't lock you into a whole 12-month thing, where you get Massive X, Battery 4, 3 of their Play Series instruments, Retro Machines. Yeah, so if this included if this included Contact, as in the full version of Contact, and was maybe $15 a month, I would be shouting from the rooftops about this. So I'm hoping that this is the first step of many, because this is this is a good start. Massive X and Battery are really good plugins that can do a lot. And then there's some basically Contact libraries that can be used outside of Contact. And there's a lot of good sounds to be had in this, but the way that I use the Complete Bundle the most isn't really included here. So yeah, the problem for me at the moment with a lot of the sample libraries that you can buy is that you have to buy them to use in the full version of Contact, and Contact is about €300. So the only way around that is for the people who make the sound library to make that available for Contact Player, which is the free version. But to do that, the people who make the sound library have to pay a large license fee to Native Instruments, go through all the validation, then pay a significant percentage ongoing to Native Instruments, which for a small company is enough to kill you. So they simply can't do it. Not a problem for the larger companies, of course, but because it's a means to an end, it's a means to a revenue stream for a large company, so they don't mind eating the percentage, I guess. But yeah, that's the thing. If they can start putting some of the major major complete plugins on a subscription basis, then I think we'll see that wall finally come down. But yeah, I mean, this for €10 or $10 or £9 a month isn't bad. But compared to the $15 a month that I pay for the Slate All Access bundle, which literally my mixing world revolves around, it's not quite as good a proposition. But we're seeing it, and that's good. So there you go. Now, finally, it's time for Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. Behringer Corner. So they've gone and ripped people off again this week with the Octave Divider, which is a blatant clone of this 1970s Mutron Octave Divider, which is it's a very cool little pedal, the Mutron Octave Divider. There are bands, like lots of funk bands would use this. It's got a very squelchy kind of big fat sound. But they're apparently Mutron is still making them, which is a bit of an eyebrow raiser because, you know, usually when Behringer do stuff like this, it's with either IP that they own or with the company that doesn't make it anymore. But I say usually, they do still do things like they make clones of Boss pedals, and Boss haven't really said anything. So, yeah, weird. But yeah, it's got actual switches, and it's got instrument, amp, and aux, whatever that means. Aux in, interesting. So I'm guessing it can take an input that isn't specifically a guitar input, which is good. But yeah, it's available now, and it's €89, which is fairly reasonable. Fairly. I've seen lower priced Behringer units. Apparently it's an all metal case, which is slightly unusual for them at this point because their usual pedals. I've got one over here. The Behringer Super Fuzz. It's the only pedal in that range that I've got because it's the only one that I couldn't get the original of because Boss don't make it anymore. But it's very plasticky. I feel like I could break it just by looking at it funny. But it does a thing that I couldn't get anywhere else. So there you go. Oh, and I also got it off eBay secondhand from the Behringer place, which is very close to us, for about £12. Did you know that Music Tribe headquarters is in Manchester based somewhere?
Yeah, we spoke about it once.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. You told me. But yeah, I got that from there because Behringer actually have an eBay outlet store in the UK. So anything that they want to sell you even cheaper, you can just buy it direct. So yeah, if there's something that's slightly chipped or broken or whatever, they can sell them to you for less. Which I have less of a problem with because if they were already going to throw it in the trash, I'll have it for half price. Why not? But yeah, cheapy cheap is the order of the day. So there you go. That was Behringer Corner, and that was the news.
The news.
Whew. So, anybody got any questions in chat? People have been very active. Let's have a look. Van Dien said about the Zoom R20 that he hopes the pre's are cleaner than the ones they had in the R24. Mate bought one to record his folk band when playing pubs straight to memory card. It went back. Oh dear. And Harley in chat says, I've never understood mixers with stereo inputs nor found any benefit to them over traditional mono mixers. The only audience I think they're marketing to are those using synths. Which is also possible. fair. But I would have thought that synth guys really kind of generally tend to know their stuff in this range and would usually just have a mixer inside. Or the modular guys have mixers inbuilt with the rack already. But yeah. Yeah. And also Harley said, Native Instruments complete now. 1 month subscription minus a day or two to download their insanely huge libraries. Which is completely fair. I have very, very fast internet here at home, and when I downloaded a lot of the complete stuff, I left it going overnight. Yeah. Oh, Mike's in chat from Let's Talk About Reaper. Hello. Marty says, how many guitar players will put a white pedal on their board? Marty, have you seen the JHS3 series? They're all just white. And people are buying them and covering them in foot muck, I'm sure. The other option is get an all-white pedal and a Sharpie. Or, like I seem to have on my desk, an autograph pen. And just make art. The reason I've got these, actually, is not because I have delusions of grandeur, but because they write really well on black, like hard drives. So, yeah. I've written on that drive Banter 2014 backup because I've been looking through all the drives that I have. I have several drives on my desk and going, what's actually on this? So that's been quite helpful this week because I've got about 10 hard drives and now I know what's on them. And
It's good. Yeah, I did something similar with drives a while back. I labeled them all and then took screenshots of the Explorer window of the root and then saved it into OneNote.
Ah, clever. So now that OneNote knows everything you have.
Yes.
Yes.
All hail Microsoft.
All hail the Microsoft.
And I've got I'm getting my booster jab tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Saturday.
Right. I didn't even know we could get them yet.
I got a text from GP saying go get it. Go get stabbed.
Ah. Cool.
So I'll be able to. Windows 11 will work even better for me because I'll have the patch.
Lovely. Yeah. Yes. I'll have to ask my GP about that. For any of the Americans, that is family doctor basically, because I'm going to see my doctor this week. So I'll just be like, "Oi, you, what's this? Come on." Just going for a regular checkup for the first time in many, many years. I don't know why I didn't go and see the doctor in my 20s, but there you go. I was just stubborn. So, yes. Al says, he has, I have a couple of questions, but I'll save them for Discord because I need to revise them a little. Do you have a Discord? So, funny you should mention that, Al. Cough, cough, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. That we do indeed have, and I'm going to drop a link in the chat, a Discord server. So if anyone wants to come and, there we go, Marty beat me to it by a few seconds, come and join us for a chat, then please do. Mike says he got his yesterday. No issues other than tiredness or arm. Maybe it's good that I got some heavy weights lifted right now because by next week I'm going to be just like... And yeah, I'm finally catching up on all my filming work. I'll be back in the studio in the next few days to film yet more videos. I've got one that I'm doing for the Line 6HX Stomp, which I'm now ready to film. I've got that wireless MIDI one to do. Those are the main two, and then mostly pickup shots for the other ones that I've been filming. But still, pickup shots and B-roll take a while. It's all the faffing around.
Have you been watching any of the Chess World Championships?
I have not.
I've watched every day of it.
Really?
The games last 8 hours.
Christ.
They have to just like if you think of like I don't know cricket as being sort of dull, like there's like 40 moves in 8 hours. So like there was one yesterday where he took 40 minutes to decide on a move, and like all you're watching is a guy just sat there at a table going. So they have to, it's just all filler. It's hilarious.
Wow, that sounds awful.
It's brilliant. I love it.
I suppose you can
so
really
addicted to chess at the moment.
Really get your work done.
Well, it's quite chilled in the background while I'm working.
That's what I mean. It's like cricket. I could have that in the background because I'd never look at it.
Yeah, it's like what I tend to do is like miss the beginning of it. So I miss like the first 2 hours and skip through the first 2 hours to actually watch what happened
Right.
without all the fluff. And then it's like, right, okay, I'll have the rest on in the background now.
Is that why you charge your first coffee of the day?
Yeah,
You've been coffee mad recently, have you? Haven't you?
I have. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, lots of coffee. Oh, it was hilarious. We got some instant coffee in because we have it on sort of like order still from Amazon. And I made Ash an instant coffee and didn't tell her. And I've been asking her to rate the coffees. And I said, what would, and usually the lowest we've had so far is a 7.5. Usually they're about 8.5.
Okay.
And she tasted it and she's like, oh, that's a 6. It just tastes really weak. I was like, there's like 3 tablespoons of coffee in there. It's not weak at all. I was like, it's just instant.
It's just bad.
And she tried to have one today. She's like, oh, it's so bitter. And we get like the Millicano, like good instant coffee.
Yeah.
But it's just after having like early like recently roasted espresso for like 4 weeks, we are now officially coffee snobs.
I think it doesn't take that much before you're like, yeah, I can't go back now.
Yeah. Because it's just night and day. You just can't imagine it as well. I think it's weird as well. Because like when you first have a nice coffee, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a nice coffee. And then you just taste buds slowly change.
Yeah. Suddenly you can taste things because your taste buds aren't just being pummeled to death by this instant punishment.
But I think I have like completely now pummeled my taste buds by drinking far too strong espresso to the point now that if it's not going to blow your face off, then it's like, nah, there's no flavor to that.
And this is why I drink from a V60. Because I ended up in that place where you're just like, more. Why have I not slept in 3 days? More.
I know, right?
Oh boy.
Caffeine doesn't really affect me that way though, which is interesting. I don't really get like too kind of wired by it. Used to, not anymore.
Yeah, I never used to be, and now I really am. That if
oh no, Andrea, I do have a proper coffee machine. I've like modded it. I've got my own portafilter. Like, don't worry. It's
Liam's gone all the way. He's gone beyond coffee machine to like coffee robot.
Yeah, it's not a robot. They're more expensive, but yeah, I've got. I'm looking forward for the pressure gauge to come in the next few days. But I'll next time you're in, I'll make you another one because I made myself another one later on after I gave you like to taste that espresso, and I'm not sure what I did differently with it because I think it was just there was just too much coffee in it. That's why it was so like acidic. Because I made one afterwards and it was like still similar in flavor, that coffee. It's not mildly different, but it wasn't quite as acidic. So, but yes, lots of fun. I mean, keep telling Adam that he needs to come over for a coffee afternoon where we can get completely wired and drink different types of coffee. Because I've got like 8 different types of coffee in now.
And now Chris is in chat, and that's the thing. We're talking about coffee, and Chris will drink 3-spoon instant tar. So how are you doing this?
No, Chris, you need to come over as well. We'll have a coffee afternoon and we'll convert you to really, really, really good espresso.
Yeah. And in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not that expensive for the actual coffee. I mean, you can spend silly money on the gadgets. But I think I spend £20 a month on really nice coffee, which sounds like a lot, but it's one of the things I like to do. How much do we spend on, the thing we like to do? Whatever that is, whether it's guitars, whether it's football, whether it's whatever, I don't know. How much do we actually spend on it? So when you get like £20 for coffee, that's a lot of coffee, but yeah, it's all relative.
But I mean, instant coffee is quite expensive. You can spend that on instant coffee. So
yeah, although that stuff does last through an apocalypse. So
yeah, mine's all in the freezer at the moment because I've got so many different types.
Got it in the freezer. Oh, I keep mine all at room temperature. I actually let it develop because I'm a proper weirdo.
Yeah, it depends on the. Yeah, I was watching a video on that the other day. It depends on the roast with that as well.
Now Chris says posh coffee seems like a waste because I take mine black. It's quite
That's the point.
That's the opposite. It's more
Yeah, that's
important because
exactly
you
the point.
take it black.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm drinking espresso at the moment, which is just like it's pure coffee, and it's like this much coffee. Just all the oils out the beans. Like
Yeah.
you can't get more like black than that.
Yeah, and if it tastes
Drink
like
the coffee.
ass, you know about it very quickly.
Yeah, you do. Like, and it, like subtly different. As I said, I mean, I brought a very very nice coffee down to Adam, and we tasted it, and we're like, oh, this is a bit like almost sour acidic because I'd not quite got the process perfectly right. Because it's like I was saying, it's like cooking a steak, like just on its own. There's nowhere to hide.
Yes.
It's either great or meh or awful.
Yeah. Oh, he says he needs to be converted. Well, we begin.
Yes, we need to work out a time where you come into the studio for an afternoon, and I'll be the coffee maker.
Which reminds me, my dad has asked for his coffee machine back because on our ground floor we've got a coffee machine made by Porsche.
Oh yeah,
that's his, and he wants it back. Yeah. Although he drinks decaf now, but that's because he's a crazy marathon runner. So yeah, crazy. It's funny. I'm going back to drinking more coffee again now that I'm going to the gym regularly, but that's because I like strong caffeine before a workout. Helps me lift more.
The temp makes a massive difference. Yeah, at the moment, I've got one of those tampers that you can set to a precise amount. So every time it basically hits a rim, so it'll always be the same amount of kind of tamp. But yeah, I don't want to invest in a decent tamper because the machine that I've got is just a 51 mil portafilter. So I'd rather wait until I've got a nice machine than invest in a proper tamper. But yeah, very geek. The geekiness, it's just all geekiness in different ways. It all comes out.
Absolutely.
If you're a nerd, you're a nerd at everything, aren't you?
Yeah, a lot of music guys really get into coffee, I think, because there's only so much you can actually do with tech stuff before your brain gets a little fried and you need a break. What do you do on your break? That's nerdy. You were going to get a coffee. Nerdy coffee. Oh, right. Yes, that's a thing.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know whether I mentioned it. Yeah, I don't know whether I mentioned it last time, but the reason why actually I've really got into it is because of Adam, and not because he was drinking V60s and going on about drip coffee, but well, partly that, but then secondly, because we were chatting about it, and he said, yeah, the reason why I like making a proper coffee is because it takes that bit longer. Because I was like, oh, it takes too long to make nice coffee, though. I don't think I'll keep it up. It's like, yeah, that's the point. You could get a break. And they say that it's almost ritualistic as well. Like, I've got to clean the espresso machine afterwards, and I've got to go through this whole process, and it's a great brain freedom for like 5-10 minutes in the middle of a day that I wouldn't give myself otherwise.
It's exactly that, yeah. It's a quick escape from the grind. Even though I enjoy the grind, it's a coffee grind instead of a music grind.
Yeah. Got a proper espresso machine, took a year to dial in, and the perfect bean mixture. Coffee somewhere else tastes awful. Yeah, I've been doing that recently. Every time, because I've got a few different types of coffee. Every time I'm done with like one, I want to try another one. I've just been putting it into one bin, so it's had like 8 different types of coffee in it. And like when we made coffee from that, it was incredible. It's like this is our own blend. But yeah, my grinder isn't consistent enough to dial in anything. It can grind differently every day, every 5 minutes. So that's going to be my next investment, is a decent grinder.
Well, that's the other experiment for me. Is every month I get sent 4 different bags of coffee, and I don't know what they're going to be. So part of
and they're all pre-ground as well, aren't they? You get.
I do, yeah. That's just because I'm not going to pay $500 to $1,000 for a really good grinder. So I get
it makes sense.
Yeah,
because I didn't have no idea when I first started drinking decent coffee that the grind is like one of the most important things.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But yeah. So from there, I then try one and then go, oh, this would work better if I change these elements and start getting all sciencey. Works for me.
Yeah. Cool. Any more like audio questions? Chris says he'll be up after Christmas. Cool. Well, after Christmas, you will get a nice coffee. Until then, you have to drink swill.
But yes, Marty says, is the hotpole.co/mega link still up? It says it's on the site that there's 12 hours remaining. It is still up for now. It's still the end of the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Cyber Christmas sale. Cyber Christmas. That's what I'm calling it. So for now, yes, if you want to buy our Reaper course and our audio essentials, reverb, EQ, and compression, all as one big bundle for less money, that is still something you can get. So there you go. That is probably a good place that is not coffee related to call it on this week's podcast.
Yes.
So
I need to go to bed.
Yes, and I do as well. I need to go to your bed. Wait, what?
What?
What? No, maybe not. But thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on the podcast. Goodbye. Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hot Hole Studios. See you there.